Welcome back to Elsie's Little Pickles. Today was another historic verdict.
Barn burner.
It was a barn burner. Hunter Biden was convicted on all charges, all three charges. And we knew that this might be coming.
Not 34 charges, just
three. Yeah, three, not 34. We kind of knew this might be coming in an effort to create different type of content for our listeners. The Elsie's Little Pickles is proud to present the world debut of Hookers and Blow. Hunter, this one's for you.
City lights are glowing, shadows start to fall. In the alleys and the corners, you can hear the nightlife call. She's got a smile that's painted, lipstick red as wine. Her eyes are always searching for the next in line. Hookers and blow under neon skies. Hookers and blow snorting from her thigh. Hookers and blow. In a suit, looking for a thrill. Money in his pocket, he's got time to kill. She whispers in his ear, promises the night. Together they'll get lost in talking shows and concerts and blow under neon skies. Hookers and blow snorting from her thigh. Hookers and blow. He's a stranger in a suit, looking for a thrill. Money in his pocket, he's got time to kill. She whispers in his ear, promises the night. Together they'll get lost in talking shows and cockfights. Behind the glamour there's a dark side. Secrets and regrets, who am I kidding? Shut up and ride. She's like a powdered donut princess with semen stains. While it's empty, I'm like her, and she crushed from the strain. Talking sticks, she's blown out, leaking love, oh what a sight. Hookers and blow under neon skies. Hookers and blow snorting from. Where's that the cops? Hookers and blow, when we're shitting, let's leave. Hookers and blow, out the window, leave the donkey. Leave the donkey. Leave the donkey. City lights are fading, dawn begins to break. The echoes of the night are memories we make. Hookers and blow, hope she forgets my name. Hookers and blow, tonight I'll do it again. Leave the donkey, I'll do it again. Leave the donkey, leave the donkey. Again. City lights are fading, dawn begins to break. The echoes of the night are memories we make. Hookers and blow, hope she forgets my name.
That was Hookers and Blow by the Brewer Boys. And Elsie's Little Pickles world premiere. So,
that's right.
Why don't you tell us how that all came about?
Well, for people who do listen and listen to the outro, quite often I don't know where it started, but
I think it actually started with
flow,
yeah. I think it started with me.
Flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the intro, I
I've
just went with that.
I've been writing some songs to have some laughs. Eventually, I want to release something for Elsie's Little Pickles, utilizing your comedy, my music writing, and yeah, something that just, how
Well-
many podcasts have got an album?
Right. And here's the thing. With that, the beauty of it is that I obviously started feeding you some lines. It started with me doing the stupid hookers and blow during the intro. And then you came to me with this idea that you wanted to do some music. And so we started kicking ideas around, and you had presented some, I presented some, and then you came to me and you're like, wait a minute, this whole, Hunter Biden thing's going down. We do that stupid hookers and blow thing every once in a while. Why don't we expand on that? So then we started chatting about that for a little bit, and then you fucking ran with it. It was amazing. I mean, really,
it is amazing considering how chubby I am. Running with it.
But what was amazing, to me is I've seen you perform live. I know when you were with the band that you contributed a lot to the songwriting, but I was never aware, believe it or not, I was never aware how much you were contributing in lyrics in your bands. That was some like I knew you were contributing, bass lines. I knew you were contributing, guitar riffs. I knew you were coming up with, drums. I knew all of the music stuff, but I did not, and I knew that you were contributing to some degree with lyrics, but I thought it was a very, very secondary thing. So first off, I got to tell you, I am so impressed with your writing, not just on this song. This song is, in my opinion, amazing. Some of you. Really your best work. But the fact that you were able to incorporate some of the stupid shit that I've said, some of the jokes, and some of the comedy, and turn it into a song that, in all honesty, if you weren't paying attention to if you weren't paying...
I'm so sorry. I just got distracted by my dog's fart. Lord.
Was that Romeo?
Woo! Yes.
Yeah,
he was blissfully asleep, just
he's
blasting away.
But
God.
Without sounding like this is an overboard love fest, blowing your ego up, when you did this, originally we were thinking that
let's be honest.
We were going
I don't really have much of an ego, but I would like to think myself no one but myself to take another page out of the Al Bundy playbook.
But what I was going to say is that originally what we were going to do is we were going to compile all these songs, and then when you made it back to Michigan in September, we were going to attempt to hit the studio and record these songs. This one came about, and one of the things that we discussed was, well, wait a minute, why don't we use AI to try to help expedite this process, at least in the sense of helping us figure it out quicker, so that we could put at least this one out right now. We do have other ones available that we finished up, but this one was really, really special because it came out, in my opinion, so fucking good. So we decided that when the Hunter Biden thing was going to court, that we were going to do everything we could to expedite this process and produce this. And with that being said, today the verdict came out.
Before we get to that verdict, officially, there are some dangers with AI that we have discussed.
Yes.
It's been discussed in the news. The particular program, because I've played this for a few people, one of which was kind of, you used AI to do it. Well, yes, I did use AI to produce this because I fed it my lyrics. I fed it my chord progression. All it did was put it together, and I didn't have to listen to any band members arguing.
Right. So now we can take this. Well, now we can take this and we can tweak it however we want.
Yes.
when we go into the studio. So that ultimately is the plan, is we want to, create these things. Some of them we might release beforehand as the AI version, but eventually what we're going to get to, hopefully we'll get to the point where we can actually go in studio. Now, the reason I bring this up is because if you have listened to this and if you like this, we're also going to put up makeshift video that will represent the song on YouTube. We're also going to have it just as audio on YouTube as a standalone. Please, if you're listening and you enjoyed that, share it, because we need to get to the point where we're able to get enough advertisers so that we can afford to do more things like this. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Okay. So
it's just a tip.
It's
Don't
just
argue.
a tip.
It's just a tip.
It's just a tip, right? It doesn't hurt that bad. It's all lubed up. Let's go. So what we're looking for is for people to pass that song around as much as possible, pass this episode around as much as possible, so we can get to the point where we're actually getting sponsors and we're producing revenue from the show Elsie's Little Pickles, so that we can do more projects like this to put out for our audience. That's really what we want to do. However, moving along, unless you wanted to put something extra on that, you want to put any special sauce on that?
I think it's saucy enough.
It is saucy. Leave the donkey. She's a powder donut princess with semen stains.
That's right.
Okay. That's all you need to know. So the verdict came down today very quick. And whenever a verdict comes down quick, it's usually not good for the defendant. I don't really have much of a problem with this as a verdict, specifically in this political climate. What I would say, though, is if it wasn't this political climate that we're in, he would have had a plea deal that he had already had, right? So what I think is a shame about this is that he was in the process and literally went to sign the plea deal, which he would have had. This wouldn't have been an issue, right? There's another aspect about this that while he apparently, I didn't play, I wasn't in, you couldn't get into the trial. You couldn't watch it.
Yeah.
So because cameras weren't allowed. So you can only go based on what you're reading. And based on what I've read, there's been a big push, especially when it comes to Second Amendment rights, that this idea of prosecuting him on something like this, specifically when so much time has gone by that he's been sober and has shown that he's turned his life around and is on the right path. He's in recovery. Granted, I'm sure he was an addict, and I'm sure he was on drugs when he filled out that form.
Denied that. How the only thing I haven't been able to get an answer from offhand was when this took place.
Yeah, I don't know what the time frame was on it. I don't. Yeah. And I'm sure it's out there. I mean, it's got to be out there somewhere. I just haven't read it.
I'm sure it's out there.
And I've read just today. I've read probably 10 or 15 articles on the verdict. And I got to be honest with you, I haven't seen that yet. Now, maybe I just missed it. It's possible because I tried to scan as much information as possible, as quickly as possible. So I might have just...
And this has been everywhere, obviously, because of the political climate. Although I have already seen a few people online complaining that the news of this isn't as broadcast as widely as the Trump verdict, which I think they're blind.
Well, I think that
saying this.
I think that if you look at it from the point of view of these are two historic events that have happened. Okay. There's
not even 2 weeks apart.
Not even, like about 2 weeks apart. I mean, these are two historic events. The first being, for the first time in the history of this country, a president has been, has been convicted of felonies, not just a couple, 34 felonies. Okay.
Yes.
That's a first for this fucking country. Well, not to be outdone, the Biden family came in with the second first for this country, which is a direct family member of the president of the United States being convicted. So these are big things. The child, yeah, exactly. The child of a president being convicted. So these are two firsts in the history of this country.
Also in the news, ironically, is that the judge in the document case has thrown out the possible of a dismissal.
Yeah, which is a little bit surprising considering how much she's been trying to help. It's almost like she's on Trump's payroll.
Yeah.
Whether that's out of loyalty for him giving her that position or not, I don't know. But let's get back to Biden and Trump real quick.
Absolutely.
Because I don't want to lose track of the historical importance of this. Okay. So one of the things that's always bothered me, I'm a huge history buff. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
I really
Same
am.
here.
And I know you are. But I'm a huge hardcore history buff. And I really, at every opportunity, I try to learn something about history. And one of the things that I learned early on was, and I don't even know where I read this or where I heard it, but it was like one of those comments or one of those quotes that just stuck with me, is that it's one thing to read history. It's another thing to understand that you're experiencing history.
Correct.
All right. And I don't know where I heard that, but it was something, I heard it in my early 20s, and it was something that totally changed my view, right? And when I came across that, I believe it was either during Desert Storm. I think it was Desert Storm. It was either Desert Storm or the Bill Clinton Lewinsky issues, but I'm pretty sure it was Desert Storm. And I thought, oh my God, I'm experiencing history. And from that point forward,
it's along those lines of, things that happen, you will always remember where you're at when it happens.
Well, it's not just that. It's the idea that something small can happen. And if you're just experiencing it and understanding how that might be another brick in the wall, no Pink Floyd pun intended, but it's one of those things where, to me, when these moments happen, January 6th, regardless of what side of that you're on or how you view that, that was a historical moment. 9/11 was a historical moment. The going to war for 20 years with, in Iraq and Afghanistan, historical moments happened throughout. And if you're paying attention, if you're plugged in, you're like, holy shit, I'm living this amazing history. And that's kind of how I felt almost 24/7 for the last 2 weeks, because these are big time historical events. An ex-president being convicted of 34 fucking felonies, that's historic. A president's son being convicted of 3 felonies, that's historic.
Yeah.
And we need to acknowledge that. I mean, it's one thing that we joke around hookers and blow with Hunter Biden, but I mean, who hasn't seen the pictures? I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene held up his cock picture.
Yep.
She
wants it.
She does. I mean, let's face it, she does.
Yeah, she does.
She wants a bad boy. And Hunter checks every box.
He would never stoop to
including her box.
Doing
He checks her
community
box.
service like that.
Yeah, that would absolutely be like court-ordered community service. Maybe if Marjorie Taylor Greene actually got fucked well, like really well, like, oh my God, I'm squirting well, maybe she would calm down a little bit. Like, maybe that's what she fucking needs.
I want to point out a fact that there was a news story a few months ago involving Marjorie Taylor Greene doing a selfie in a bathing suit.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
And the number of clicks in the South were humongous.
Yeah.
The number of clicks in the North were non-existent.
Yeah.
That tells you a little.
It's interesting because when you talk about geography, one of the things, and this is the choo-choo's going off the track for a minute. One of the things that I've noticed tracking some of our podcasts, right? And this is interesting because I didn't expect this. We have listeners in Germany, which that in and of itself, maybe not such a big deal because a lot of people from the United States travel for work to Germany. But you know where else we have a lot of or we have some listeners? Not a lot, but some. You any idea?
Russia.
Russia.
Say it again?
Russia.
Really?
Yeah. We've got listeners in Russia. So one of the things I wanted to take a moment, like I said, the choo-choo's off the track for a brief second, but I do want to thank whoever is listening in Germany and whoever is listening in Russia. I want to thank you guys for tuning into Elsie's Little Pickles, and I hope that you enjoy it.
Dog.
I hope
in Germany.
I hope you enjoy it, first off. And secondly, I hope you spread it to your friend groups, right? At least those who speak English, because obviously we don't speak Russian or German.
Yeah, no.
But I wanted to say thank you to them. I wanted to say thank you to them because you know what? They didn't have to tune in, and they keep tuning in. So I don't know if it's different people or what it is, or if it's just one person that keeps coming back for more punishment from us. But it is greatly appreciated, and we here at Elsie's Little Pickles thank you, and we hope you enjoy Hookers and Blow. All right, back to the show. The weirdest part about all of this with Hunter Biden was I read that Trump, I think it was a Truth Social post.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm sure it was. But he said, you know, after he was like, you know, yeah, Hunter Biden's a bad person who's funneled, you know, illegal funds to his father, Joe Biden, who's the worst president to ever exist. But unlike his father, who won't pardon him, when I'm in office, I will, or something to that effect. And I found that hysterical. I mean, that is where Trump shines. We're always shitting on Trump, but we have to give credit where credit is due, because when it comes to a quick kind of dig, that boy is like heckler ready. I'm telling you, I think he's missing his calling. He should be like more of a stand-up comic, because he's quick on shit like that. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't think things through, and he has no fucking filter. He's got no fucking self-awareness. Whatever comes to mind, it goes right out his mouth or onto some sort
There's a part of me that really feels that if he loses this election, within 2 years, he'll make an appearance on Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, I would love that. I would love that.
The double fist pump that looks like he's jerking off.
Yeah, and having ballroom dancing to YMCA with the double fist pump, where it looks like he's jacking two motherfuckers off. He's cross country skiing, jacking guys off is essentially what he's doing in that move, right? But
he's not even moving from the chest down. It's just his arms.
Right. Now, we did this show a little bit differently with the cold open, so we could introduce the song, which is a tribute to Hunter Biden. Because, you know, look, I don't wish bad on anyone. I don't wish bad on Trump even, okay? Trump creates bad for himself, and, you know,
yes,
you got to deal with that because that's
That's called karma.
Well, by the same token, for a period of time, Hunter created the circumstances that have put him in this position. Now, what I'm curious about is how this is being received by the MAGA crowd, because you can't call foul on Trump's court decision and conviction and say the courts are corrupt and Biden's corrupt and it's Biden's DOJ, when his own son, and he's a very, very family-oriented man. I mean, there's no, you can say a lot about Biden, but you can't say he doesn't love his family.
In the circles that I traversed through online, there hasn't been much of anything said.
Because they already said all the shit about, oh, this is bullshit and it's unfair and it's political. Well, if it's political, then how come Hunter isn't getting a pardon? I mean, Biden came right out and said it. He said, no, I'm not. This is a country of law and order. This is a country of laws. I also don't see the left screaming out, Biden is like God, if Trump is like Jesus, and God is sacrificed. Right. So, like, you don't see the left coming out and go. What you do see is the left coming out and go, see, this is how the judicial system works. You fuck up. You go in front of a jury of your peers in a court. They make a decision based on the arguments. You're given the opportunity to have representation, and wherever the chips may fall, they may fall, but you're being judged fairly by a group of your peers.
Yes.
So what's good for the goose is good for the gander in this case. But will they admit it? Because the left has, I mean, I was on Twix, and I mean, we're talking all the hardcore lefties were going, I don't like the fact
that you call it Twix.
Well, that's because of you. That's because of you.
Yes, I know.
But
I love it.
All the hardcore lefties, all the hardcore Biden supporters that are like, you know, like not famous necessarily aside from fucking Twix, they're all saying the same thing. They're all saying, okay, well, it's a shame. We're sad that happened, but justice was served.
Speaking of Twix, have you heard the latest Elon Musk news?
No.
Elon Musk says that he will ban iPhone and other Apple devices if iPhone goes ahead with integrating Siri with ChatGPT. So at all of his businesses, iPhones are going to be banned.
Oh, that's fine. Then at his business, all iPhones will get banned because that is going forward. They've already made the announcement. It's happening. It probably won't be in full tilt boogie until 2025. So we're looking at probably late 2025, but this is moving forward and there's nothing Elon can do. Oh, by the way, I need to make a correction. We were talking
correction.
Yes. I want people to know that when I fuck up, and it's brought to my attention and I look at the proof, if it plays out, it plays out. So those chips, the NVIDIA chips or whatever it was we were talking about, and I said, well, he probably, instead,
I remember that now.
Right. I said, these chips can be programmed for anything. That is not true. These chips are specifically designed to handle the load of AI. So these are definitively. So with that being said, I fucked up. I said the wrong thing. And I apologize.
Do you realize the corner of the market NVIDIA has?
No, I know it's huge though.
Yeah.
It's what, 90%?
I just happened to read a news story like a month ago. Let me look this up. NVIDIA.
Okay, so while you're looking that up, I'm going to now adjust what I was saying as to the reasons why. I thought Elon might be diverting those chips so that he could use them for what is it, Grok or whatever he calls his AI. I'd like to, and I'm speculating here. It could be for Gronk or Grok or whatever he fucking calls it. But I think he actually did that because I think that he's about to make a big push with his Tesla bots. And I think that he diverted those chips for the Tesla bots.
What is probably the largest company in the world?
Oh, God.
Well, most people are going to say Amazon.
I would say it's Apple. I think Apple has more cash on hand. So define what you mean by the largest. Are we talking employees?
Like market cap, net worth.
I would think it would be Apple.
Well, you would be wrong.
Well, it's not the first
comparison, time. Amazon, which is obviously humongous, has got a 1.74 trillion net worth. Second place goes to Apple, which is 2.96 trillion in market cap net worth. NVIDIA is over 3 trillion.
Oh.
3 trillion. Over.
Oh my God.
I just literally said twillion.
Trillion.
Trillion.
No.
It's not just twillion, but
no,
a trillion.
I think you need to stick with twillion because when you're talking that kind of money, it makes you fucking talk weird. You have to talk weird when you're talking about 300 trillion.
3 trillion.
I mean, that reminds me of
close to
$350. It's almost like Dr. Evil. $3 trillion. It's like a cross between Dr. Evil and Elmer Fudd. Oh my God. There's too much money wrapped up in businesses and billionaires and not enough of that money available to the normal people. I mean, that's fucking, when you're talking that kind of money, come on. That's just too much.
Now I'm wondering about Microsoft.
Microsoft's, I mean, they're up there, but I mean, I would think Google had a higher market cap than they do. But I could be wrong.
Microsoft is 3.18 trillion.
Twillion. Jesus Christ. Oh, fuck. What is happening to this world? Tell me, honestly, what the fuck is happening to this world?
Google is as 2.18 trillion.
I like that you're sticking with the twillion. Well, that's actually
when I drive my
interesting.
car, I try not to hit any tweez.
I think that's actually interesting, but there's other stories going on. I'm actually going to bring one to you. I mean, since we're doing the show and it's like not our format, we're playing around with it.
And I've got 2 stories for you. I'll see your story and
raise me a story. All right, fucking A, let's go. So my story is not that big of a story, but I thought it was pretty fucking funny. Martha's Vineyard is about to run out of pot. And this has led to a lawsuit and a scramble by regulators. Okay.
Well, do they have any kettles?
Kettles.
Kettle, pot.
Oh, shut up, fucker. He snuck that in on me. An 81-year-old woman, this is ABC News, an 81-year-old woman on Martha's Vineyard drove up to the Island Time dispensary last week seeking her usual order of pot. But owner Jeff Rose had to tell her the cupboard was bare. He had been forced to temporarily close 3 weeks earlier after selling every last bud and gummy. Unless something...
poor Mother Hubbard. She went to the cupboard.
To get her old dog bone. I could totally go into a dice.
Give me a... You know what? I think from now on, pot should be measured in kettles.
Yeah, why not? And if you're going to have a kettle, you might as well have a pot, and vice versa. Unless something changes, the island's only other cannabis dispensary will sell all of its remaining supplies by late September at the latest. And Martha's Vineyard will run out of pot entirely, affecting more than 230 registered medical users and thousands more recreational ones. Okay, so A, we're talking Martha's Vineyard. This is like old money, big money, new money, stupid money, right?
Do you know why?
Why what?
Why this is happening?
We're getting to that.
Oh, okay.
The problem.
I put the pot in front of the kettle.
Yes, you did, and the horse around the corner. The problem boils down to location. Although Massachusetts voters location. It's always location. While Massachusetts voters opted to legalize marijuana more than 7 years ago, the state's Cannabis Control Commission has taken the position that transporting pot across the ocean, whether by boat or plane, risks running afoul of federal laws. That's despite a counter argument that there are routes to Martha's Vineyard that remain entirely within the state's territorial waters. The conundrum led Rose to file a lawsuit last month against the commission, which now says that finding a solution to the island's pot problem has become a top priority. 3 of the 5 commissioners visited Martha's Vineyard on Thursday to hear directly.
Did you say it became a pot priority?
A top, not pot, but both. So the 3 of the 5 commissioners visited Martha's Vineyard on Thursday to hear directly from the affected residents. The tension between the conflicting state and federal regulations has played out across the country as states have legalized pot. The tension between conflicting state and federal regulations has played out across the country as states have legalized pot. California law, for example, expressly allows cannabis to be transported to stores on Catalina Island, while Hawaii last year dealt with its own difficulties transporting medical marijuana between islands by amending a law to allow it. Federal authorities have also been shifting their position. The Justice Department last month moved to reclassify marijuana as a less dangerous drug, though still not legal one for recreational use. Okay, so that's fucking stupid. It's already, you can't, if you're going to say it's a state's issue because we don't have courage in fucking Congress or the Senate or the fucking White House to make a decision. I mean, I don't even know how many states are legal at this point, you know, whether it's, I think it's like 27 states or something have some form of legal marijuana. For fuck's sake, have the courage to represent your fucking state.
38 of 50.
38 of the fucking 50. 38 of the fucking 50. Have the courage to fucking represent. Have the courage to lead. You wanted it to be a states' right issue, it's a states' right issue. Same as abortion. Have the fucking courage to lead. This is just in reverse. So it was a federally protected thing for abortion. They said we want it sent back to the states because they didn't want to have the issue anymore. And this has been, that was a 50-year fucking argument. All right. Now we have the states saying we're legalizing marijuana, but these motherfuckers, they're having trouble with everything from banking, distribution.
Yep.
Come fucking on. It's ridiculous.
You know, and if they ban contraception, they need to ban Blue Chew and Viagra.
Absolutely. You know what I mean?
Just
like
saying.
they couldn't even fucking Republicans on this one. This one pissed me off. And you can say, we talked about this. We talked about this where yes, okay, look, you can accuse Schumer and the Democrats of a show vote on protecting and codifying contraception. You can call it that, right? But there's every indication based on what your Project 2025 is, based on what your rhetoric is, there's every reason to believe, specifically because they're taking Plan B and I forget the name of the other fucking pill, but they're taking
Cialis.
No, not Cialis. They're taking everything except Viagra and Cialis and trying to get it turned around through the Food and Drug Administration. I swear to God, I don't fucking understand anymore.
It's God's will if you get pregnant. Well, you know, it's also God's will that you can't get a fucking boner.
You know what else is God's will? Fucking pot. It grows everywhere. Everywhere. It's a natural drug. Okay? If you believe in God and if you're a fucking Christian nationalist and if you have Jesus on your side, then if it's in nature, guess fucking what? God put it there. I'm an atheist. And even I look at nature.
Smoked cannabis.
Past
Smoked a bong like the rest of us. You've heard that, right?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's fucking hysterical. I thought you were fucking writing a new song.
No. Oh, I could only wish. That's a great song.
Oh, my God. So that's the news story that had me all riled up. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? It's either a state's issue or it's a federal issue. And when the states, 38 of the 50, are saying, look, we need consistency in this. We need to, make sure that, the people aren't going to step afoul of the federal. And clearly, ever since it's been legalized, there's no big issues. You know why? Because pot smokers, the difference between a pot smoker and a drunk driver, pot smokers doing doing 3-4 mile.
It's a delivery car.
What's that?
You might get rear-ended by a pizza delivery car.
Yeah, maybe. But really, the big difference is if somebody gets high and on pot and they get behind the wheel, they're doing 3, 4, 5 miles an hour looking for an address on the fucking expressway. That's the fucking worst thing that happens. I don't. Just make your mind up whether or not it's a state's thing or if it's a federal thing. But when all of the states are, or the majority of the states are showing you that your federal laws are fucking with their ability to make state laws, maybe it's time to step in.
I'm reminded of the Cheech and Chong classic, where their vehicle is made out of marijuana, and smoke is
Pouring
blowing out
out
of
of
the
it.
tailpipe
Yeah.
and into the motorcycle cop's face, and he pulls him over and walks up. What are you guys doing? You gonna eat that hot dog there? Fucking beautiful.
I love it. I love it. All right. So since we're doing things in such reverse order, now it's your turn. I brought you my story.
Would you like the asshole story or the asshole story?
Well, now that you say asshole, I realized I didn't thank our American listeners. I thanked our Russian and our German, but I didn't thank our American. And I would say the same thing to our American listeners. Please, if you enjoyed the Hookers and Blow song, pass it around as much as possible to all your friends. And hopefully we can get to the point where we're making some revenue off of the YouTube and off of all the podcasting platforms so that we can continue to find other ways to try to entertain you aside from just the podcast. All right. Sorry.
I would also like to take this opportunity to thank our alien listeners and invite, I don't know how to say hello or hi, but my name is Steve and you can probe my butt.
You're not Steve.
I have blonde
You're
hair.
Keith. And you have a beard that's full and I have one that's shitty and little. There's a big difference.
Don't worry, one day you'll hit me.
I don't think
And-
so.
Well, I'll start off with this quick story. The right has come for Dolly Parton.
I heard. How
Yeah.
dare you?
The Federalist has come out to slam Dolly Parton and her false gospel.
Yes. And this is actually a trick. I did hear about this. This is a trick that has been used historically by, very, very, God, what's the word I'm looking for? Fundamental Christians. So what they do is they create the satanic panic. Now, me and you grew up in a satanic panic during the 80s.
Yeah.
And the satanic panic was basically everything, if it was good music, that's the devil's work. If it was anything popular, it's the devil's work. And they tried doing that to even J.K. Rowling with Harry Potter, saying that, it's witches. You're poisoning.
Satan isn't everything.
Yeah,
Well,
you're
you know
poisoning.
what? I'd like to take this opportunity as Satan's PR to say that Satan has no interest in most of your human toilings. Satan only handles rock and roll and orgies. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so if you don't go to a concert and you don't go to an orgy, you got nothing to worry about. I find it difficult to believe that the people think that, specifically on social media, they think that spouting their religious bullshit is changing anyone's opinion. You know what I mean? So
Oh yeah.
So they put these things out there, and then they say some of the most ridiculous shit. You know what I mean? Like,
I just want to bring up in Mark, the gospel, there's a verse 51 and 52, I believe, of Mark 14, where it discusses, I think I brought this up once in the last show, that a naked man went running away from Jesus when the authorities, the Romans, came to collect him.
yes.
Well, who was that naked man?
And why was he running? Well, that's the thing is like, especially during Pride Month, you saw a lot of posts with people talking about, that's against God, blah, blah, blah. So hold on a second. Let me see if I can find that fucking post. This is the stupidity, right? I mean, it would be hysterical if it wasn't so fucking dangerous, right? So,
Not to mention Trump's little comments about Taylor Swift, how beautiful she is.
well, that's the highest
But she's-
compliment he's
She's
got.
probably a liberal, and she probably doesn't like Trump because he apparently referred to himself in the third person.
Oh yeah, he always does that. But the thing is that you have to accept the fact that Trump's highest compliment for a woman is that she's beautiful. And in that statement, he said,
"She's so beautiful. She kind of reminds me of my daughter. I want to do my daughter."
In that statement, he called Taylor Swift beautiful like 7 or 8 times, and it was like 3 sentences. All right. So, anyways, back to this bullshit. Specifically, this one is criticizing atheists, right? So,
Here we go. I love this. Hit me with it.
Yeah. So it says real Christian mental gymnastics, and it's cartoon, right? So you got the real Christian on the top with this, obviously flat mat, and it, as a gymnast. Homosexuality is condemned in the Old Testament. Homosexuality is condemned in the New Testament. God condemns homosexuality is the conclusion. And, she plants it and gets a 10. Now, liberal Christian mental gymnastics or atheist gymnastics is the Bible never directly says it's a sin. Leviticus also talks about shellfish. Maybe it's actually about incest. Paul just didn't like Roman fertility orgies. Therefore, God is fine with men having sex together.
Do you imagine a crab walking around fucking another crab, and it's wearing a robe made of 2 different linens?
Oh my God. That is the apocalypse. Isn't that like the horns get blown and the first seal gets cracked and it says, and from the first seal, a crab in mixed linens walked. Yeah. No,
I think you're right.
Yeah, I might be. But
well, my feelings on Revelation.
To a degree,
well, I shouldn't say feelings.
Maybe you should be a little bit more specific.
Oh, well, Revelation's about the downfall of Rome, not the world.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think we all knew that, but they don't. Like, that's the thing is like when you're talking about Revelations or Revelation.
Just for clarification for people out there, Caesar Nero in Roman numerals,
right,
is 666.
Well, and that's what we've always thought. So
that's cartoon quality sound effects for everybody.
Yeah.
Well,
I just hit pause accidentally, so I don't know if they caught that.
Oh.
Anyways,
damn.
The point of Revelation, first off, it was written while he was in prison, while Paul was in prison. And no one stops to think that maybe he was just fucking deranged.
Angry at the Roman system?
Yeah. He's like, I got 34 convictions against me.
Not that Paul ever actually met Jesus.
No. Well, not actually, but apparently had a vision on when he was still a tax man, I think it was. He had a vision. And he was
vision.
Yeah, I think I forget where he was walking to because they didn't have cars back then. He was probably a little bit pissed off and maybe, had a bit of heat stroke considering he was walking through the fucking desert.
Trying to walk to a little kiosk that sells fish and chips and wine.
Yeah. Trying. Couldn't find it. Saw a vision of Jesus. Jesus didn't bring any takeout. You would have thought that he would have brought something for him. But
at least a cracker.
What gets me is this again, it's like satanic panic that's happening.
Crackers, Paul. Have that.
The getting back to the idea of the satanic panic within our government with the far right. I've heard, I forget who it was. Oh, it was Alito, I think, that got caught. Did you hear about that? He got caught on audio. And he something.
Fuck you, Alito.
Yeah, fuck that cocksucker. Fuck him in the ass. Him and Clarence Thomas, those two motherfuckers. If they had any dignity, well, first off,
Thomas,
huh?
Clarence Thomas.
Yeah,
there's no one here.
The idea that Alito hid behind his wife, grow a set, you punk ass bitch. Again, this is leaders being leaders. And if you're on the Supreme Court, I'm sorry, regardless of whether you're conservative or liberal, you have an obligation to live your life to a bit of a higher standard. Because if you're going to sit in judgment, you better be as pure as the driven snow, or at least as close to that shit as you can be. Fucking
And they're trying to
lead.
talk that other Supreme Court, I don't remember the name now, but she's getting up there a little long in the tooth, and they're worried about her health and trying to talk her into retiring to step down so Biden can name someone.
Yeah, but it won't happen because Republicans will block it. They'll block it and block it and block it as long as they can block it. So you saw that happen with McConnell when it was Merrick Garland that was supposed to be Obama's fucking pick. And then, again, for those who have listened to the show many times, I'm sure, because we're so amazing.
Yeah, we never get political.
No, not at all. Why would we? It's only the world burning down around us.
We actually hit the things you never want to talk about, politics and religion.
And we're doing it all in the same
Come
one.
on and sit on down and let's have a chat.
Let's see how much we can offend you with common sense.
During the commercial break, we're going to club some seals.
And speaking of commercial breaks,
slap some babies.
It's time for our commercial for a sponsor that's not a sponsor. We haven't done this in a while.
Put this product placement right here.
Yes, I do. I'm going to put it right fucking here. To all my peeps, especially Chris Smith at Sweetwater, sweetwater.com. We love you. They're the ones that set us up with all the equipment and made us pay for it. And one day they're going to be a fucking sponsor. I'm doing this shit like fucking Jon Stewart did with Arby's.
You know what I heard? I actually heard, speaking of this, that Chris Smith is against clubbing seals.
He is. He has made that very... And to be fair, it's not just his policy. It turns out it is a company policy as well. Sweetwater.com does not club baby seals. They're totally against it, as is Chris Smith. And I'm not sure if it was Chris Smith's idea to make sure that no one clubs baby seals at Sweetwater, but I wouldn't put it past him because that motherfucker knows his shit. All right, back to the show.
And who is the asshole news? I came across this story.
I'm sorry you caught me off guard with that one.
Who is the asshole here?
Who's the asshole news? Okay.
Usually it's, am I the asshole? But, well, we all know the answer to that question. Yes.
Yeah.
But in the question of who is the asshole here, a woman, it was on Australian TV. She has an OnlyFans. And she was describing the moment she recognized one of the usernames in OnlyFans and recognized it as one of her followers on her TikTok and recognized it as her stepfather. So she was talking and discussing this, and obviously the audience was, oh, no. And she contacted her stepfather, basically saying, you can either tell my mother that you subscribe, or I'm going to tell her.
Mm-hmm.
And she was saying that she felt like a victim.
Mm-hmm.
And my question is who is the asshole here? Because one, I'm sorry. I don't like to, deny someone a victim card, but if you have an OnlyFans and you don't like someone, he wasn't really family. He was a stepfather. And
still creepy. That's still creepy.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it's not creepy. I'm just saying that doesn't make you a victim.
No, I don't. I think that there are certain career paths or life choices that people make that they may not be proud of. Okay. So maybe she's not proud of the fact that she's doing OnlyFans, but maybe she's making great money and that.
Yeah, she was making great money.
Okay. So that settled her moral dilemma with it. But I would say that becomes a situation where, just like an actor or an actress. So let's use Emilia Clarke, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Game of Thrones, Khaleesi,
right? And there were several nude scenes that she did. And obviously, everyone in her family knew this was a big deal. This was a huge production. This was her big break. And, they would watch. And it kind of occurred to her after the fact, they're going to see me naked.
And having sex. Well, simulated sex.
And essentially being raped at one point.
Yes.
Okay. I think that when you make the decision to do a project, you have to accept the consequences that go with that. For good or for bad, If you make the decision to expose your body, whether it's on Game of Thrones or, a movie or OnlyFans, and a family member sees that, whether intentionally or unintentionally. And I'm sure that he probably was an OnlyFans subscriber and came across it accidentally. I don't know that unless he found out somehow. And again, I'm not defending him. It's like, have a little bit of fucking class. Now, if he subscribed and thought, I'm going to take screenshots so I can show your mother what you're doing, well, that's not creepy. It's controlling. It's inappropriate, maybe, but it would at least at that point come from, I guess, a good place, But I don't think I don't think she gets.
What was happening?
What's that?
That's not what was happening.
He was jacking. He was fucking subscribing and getting down.
Could be. I mean, there's no evidence of him getting down, but he did subscribe. Also followed her TikTok.
Yeah.
But I just watching the video, I was just like, well, I mean, it's not like you could control who sees this.
No, and if you wanted to be in control of that, I don't know how OnlyFans works
if you were truly creeped out, refund his money.
I would think, and I don't know how that, like I said, I have no idea from the content creator's point or perspective what kind of control they have, but I do know, excuse me, I do know that there are certain sites like that do live cam or webcam or whatever, where they can say, I don't want my cam to be available in these states. And they just they toggle off.
How do you know that?
I don't know how I know that, actually. I wish I did know how I knew that. I know where you're going with that.
Are you suggesting something, Steve?
No, I'm not, actually. I'm just saying that somehow I know that. And I honestly don't know how I know that. I really don't. I don't know if somebody told me that was like, I don't know. I have no idea. But I know that I heard that. And I can actually.
Well, now I'm going to go on Chatterbait and just search Steve.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, you don't even have to
put it in his butt.
You don't even have to do that. Just ask me. I'll send you the fucking. I'll put the videos in the cloud for you. But I think this goes back to. There was a guy. So years and years ago, when I was in my early 20s, and you were, still a teenager, we worked at a gas station. Mm-hmm. And at that gas station, I got you the job. And right. I don't know if
I was awake all night as a...
Right. Which is why I thought it would be perfect for you. But there was a guy that would come in. He had a really nice car. He had money. And he smoked Camel Lights. Do you remember that dude? Mustache, kind of almost long hair, long gray hair. I can't think of his name.
Vaguely.
Okay.
It was like a BMW, wasn't it, or something?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, long story short, the way he made his money was when the phone company was considered a monopoly and it was forced to break up. And in the course of that, a lot of telephone opportunities came on, and one of them was phone sex. So that's how he made his money. And he had a female partner, right? So the two of these, like he understood the tech part. She understood how to talk dirty, and that's how it started. I mean, that's literally how it started. He told me one day.
Oh, I'm sure there were nights he had to fill in. Yeah, look at your balls.
Well, no, but here's the interesting thing. We have a mutual friend. who at the time he offered a job to, which paid like 3 or 4 times the amount per hour that she was making at the station. So she did that for like not even 2 hours, right? Because it was like creepy, and she's like, I can't.
Oh, she got my phone calls.
Yeah, yes, she got your phone calls.
All right.
Anyways, but in part of like the onboarding for her, he actually said, we can kind of make sure that, calls are coming from out of state are directed to you, so you don't have any chance of accidentally talking to somebody you might know or whatever. And she was like, oh, that'd be great, but not everyone did that. And you I guess you got a little bit more, for your check or, hourly if you did local calls too. So there was incentive to do local calls, but there was also the opportunity not to. And maybe that's where I learned that from. And maybe I'm just conflating the two. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure I saw that somewhere.
There was a coworker there that ran up the large phone sex.
Yeah, you were telling me. I think we actually talked about this already, and which is ridiculous that you would think you could get away with it, because how clear is it that phone calls go out at X time on X day? It's stupid. All right, next story.
I think that was it. Let's see here.
Did you happen to catch? I don't know if you listened to Lex Friedman.
I did not.
Okay, he did.
I was going to bring this up eventually, but
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say Julie Louis-Dreyfus has come out to slam Jerry Seinfeld a little bit over his comments.
Oh, really? What was this about?
His comments about basically media being too woke and all that kind of stuff, extreme left and PC crap, and she.
I got to tell you, I agree with Jerry. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
To an extent, yeah.
Well, seriously, how do you feel about it?
I would agree to like an extent that some of it is a little woke. I have issues with anything that's anti-woke, just because I feel like immediately that person is saying that you don't have any empathy for anyone else.
Okay.
If that makes sense?
Yeah.
But I will say that there's a section of entertainment where people are afraid to offend people. And I have a problem with that. I'm offended by that.
Right. Well, see, here's my point. Here's my view on that. I know what woke was originally.
Yes.
It is not that now.
No.
It's unrecognizable.
Correct, sir.
What woke is now, and how it's been kind of convoluted.
Deified?
Well, no, it's convoluted because it depends on who you talk to on what woke is. So you don't even know what woke is anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what woke is at this point. So I don't even know if I'm being woke or I'm not being woke or I'm being anti-woke. What I do know is that personally for myself, if the amount of effort that I have to put into being kind has to extend to using your pronouns, as long as I know your pronouns, I don't have a problem with that. If being woke means that I have to, if I were like on this podcast as an example, if I have to censor myself, I'm not okay with that.
I can understand that. Absolutely.
I think that what it boils down to is just a level of empathy for the other people. And that doesn't cost you a fucking dime. It doesn't cost you any effort. It's just being kind. If that's what woke is, then I'm woke. If having to watch every fucking thing that comes in my mouth because maybe I'm just not as hip as you, or I'm not as plugged into whatever the circumstances that you're very plugged into, well then fuck you. Okay? I'm willing to hear you try to explain to me and convince me that I'm wrong. And if I agree, great. But to me, being woke is really just being kind of like plugged into the fact that everyone has their own story, their own back history, their own context that we may not be privy to. But if you're just kind enough to say, oh, I didn't know, and I apologize, I will absolutely refer to you that way. Or thank you for enlightening me on that. You know what I mean? It costs you nothing.
I just got a breaking news.
Oh, no.
Breaking news. New Jersey. I blanked on the other state, but they're talking about taking away the liquor licenses of Donald Trump at some of his clubs because of his felon status.
That'll be interesting. I bet you the first thing he does is put those clubs into the kid's name. Either Eric.
I could understand.
There's an easy way around that.
It would have to be Junior, not Eric, because everybody knows he doesn't like Eric.
Well, yeah, but I got to be honest with you. I think he doesn't trust DJ. I think like.
No, I'm being funny.
I know, but I mean, like in all seriousness, I think when it comes to the business, I think he actually trusts Eric more with the business. I think
that would make sense.
I think he's upset.
Junior is a little too much still of a party dude.
Well, regardless of whether he's a party dude or not, and there's many memes and stuff of him being coked up or Adderalled up or whatever. I don't know. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But he seems to be more interested in politics than he is in the business. And I think that Trump looks at Eric as, well, you're not Ivanka, but you're almost as good because you're still my kid.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I think with Junior's kind of been the rebellious fuck up his entire life, and I don't think really Trump liked him a whole lot.
Almost as if he was the hunter of the Trump.
Yeah, I think that there is a bit of that. and I'll tell you what, it wouldn't surprise me that Trump made that comment about bailing or about pardoning Hunter because he was envisioning Junior. Junior was a little bit, take it in context, he was rebellious. Probably more so than any of the other children. But I think that also fascinated Donald because I think Donald was that way. And I think that he sees now that Junior has the potential to kind of be a political animal like him. So I think that there was a large stretch of time where maybe they bumped heads a whole bunch. And then when The Apprentice came around and he realized, oh, I can bring Junior into this, blah, 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 whatever. I think that there was something that changed because throughout the course of that show, at some point, he actually had, I think, both Junior and Eric listening to AM talk radio and all of the right-wing things, trying to figure out, well, what are the catchphrases? What are the talking points? What are they really saying? And I'll play to that, and I'll win them that way. So I think
I'll never forget.
I think he sees
Junior for getting Laura involved.
I don't understand that.
Now
at
we
all.
have to hear that.
I honestly, I don't understand Laura Trump in any of this at all, unless it's just like some sort of favor to the family or some shit. I honestly don't understand maybe she brings something to the table that I'm not aware of. Maybe she's incredibly smart. She might be fucking great at organizing and fundraising. I honestly don't know. I don't know enough about Laura Trump to be able to make an honest assessment. But what I do know is she's part of the family, and it seems like that's all he understands is I'm going to put people who are loyal to me in positions of power. And you see that again with like Project 2025. It's all about loyalty. It's
yes.
Dear leader shit, So before we wrap this up, there was one thing I wanted to bring up, which was
bring it up, baby.
I listened to Lex Friedman interview Kevin Spacey.
Okay.
And I got to tell you, you can say a lot of things about Kevin Spacey. You really can. And you could say he's a piece of shit for some of his behavior. I would not disagree with you. However, I miss Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, his acting.
I miss him as an actor desperately. He is so fucking good. He is so fucking good in everything he's done. So fucking good. And just to hear his voice transported me to 6, 7, 8, 10 movies that he's been in. And I was like, I didn't even watch him, but just hearing his voice
Made your pants come undone.
Maybe a touch. I'm not going to lie. Okay. I'm not ashamed. So I jerked off to Kevin Spacey. Go fuck yourself. But in that interview, there were some parts that I thought, okay, this is very kind of rehearsed, maybe canned answers type stuff. But like when you hear him talk about his love of acting and how he got started and kind of like his family background and the fact that, as a kid, he got involved in drama because it was a way to keep him out of his house and away from his father. You understand?
Let me ask you this.
You understand it a little bit more.
What is your first memory of Kevin Spacey acting?
Usual Suspects.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine's a little earlier than that.
Yeah, which one?
See no evil, hear no evil. He was one of the bad guys.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I did not know that, first off. Secondly, I thought his performance
He was like the dastardly killer. He always had the little driving gloves on.
Oh, all right. Yeah. But where I fell in love with him as an actor was Usual Suspects. And then when he did 7, he blew me the fuck out of the water with 7. And then, there's so many that you could do. I forget the name of it, but it was the one with Dennis Leary. It was like the Christmas one. He was fantastic in that. Obviously, he was amazing in American Beauty, but
I don't remember the name of it, but the one where he's the professor at MIT. It's about the MIT students hitting Vegas or Atlantic City.
Oh, yeah. I think I saw that one. I'm not positive if I saw that or not, but yes.
Mm-hmm.
But when he was in
House of Cards,
that was
that
it.
show never recovered.
No, and it couldn't because he was the pillar of it. Anyways,
you know who we don't see often enough?
What?
And I love his acting. Kevin Kline.
Kevin Kline is amazing, and
absolutely amazing.
And married to Phoebe Cates.
That lucky son of a bitch.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. Was it Fast Times at Ridgemont High that scene was?
Yes.
Yes. And I think that Phoebe Cates for Gen X, I think that if there's a Gen Xer that didn't pull himself through puberty by his cock, watching that scene where she was coming out of the pool, if there's one out there, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, 2 women.
She was amazing.
From
she
the
was
80s
just beautiful.
That just stood out.
Yeah,
was Phoebe Cates and Jennifer Connelly.
Oh yeah, yes. Labyrinth was where we first saw her. And I think everyone fell in love with her in Labyrinth. But then as she aged and matured and got better roles and so on, she just continuously got more and more beautiful as she became more adult. That's kind of like Natalie Portman in a sense, where we saw her in, I forget the Hitman movie.
The Professional, but in Europe it was called Leon.
Yeah. So in The Professional, she was like 13 years old, and everyone looked at her and were like, this is kind of creepy, but she's a cute kid. Like, not like sexually, but like,
but she
was a cute kid.
She was very good at what she was doing. She was a very good actor.
Yeah, she was an incredible little actress, and she was a cute kid. And that was kind of where it laid. Keira Knightley is another one. I did not realize how young Keira Knightley was in things like Star Wars and Pirates of the Caribbean. I had no idea she was that young, and so beautiful and just an amazing actress. But like, you look at some of those roles that she did where you go, I'm not sure you were old enough to do that role. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain things that you go, how old were you at that point? You know what I mean? Because I thought Keira Knightley, I'm not sure which came well, it would have probably been Star Wars came first, then Pirates of the Caribbean. But still, even in Pirates of the Caribbean, I think she was like 19 years old and having to kiss Johnny Depp.
I was in a bar and two guys next to me, or maybe a seat down from me, were discussing. I don't remember the TV show, but I had a high school daughter. Like it was a comedy, and they were like, one guy was like, she's really cute. And the other guy was like, dude, it's a high school girl. You're going to sit there and say that she's cute? And they were arguing about it.
Well, see, that's the problem, though, is because sometimes...
I just to put it out there, I leaned over and was like, y'all do realize she's like 30, right?
That was my point I was going to just make, is like, typically... And I guess that's why I kind of felt creepy about like Natalie Portman and Keira Knightley, is because we've kind of been programmed to believe that if they're playing a teenager, they're in their 20s at least. And if there's nudity, they're probably close to 30, but just look young. Definitely, 23 to 28 before nudity for most of them.
If you think about it, going back to Beverly Hills 90210, we had high schoolers who were actually in their 30s.
Right. I mean, that's my point.
Portraying high school students. But that's been the case throughout, like, even the 80s. Some of the movies.
Well, Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
I mean, what was he? He was 27, 30 years old when he was doing Back to the Future? Something like that?
I think so, yeah.
So you get programmed to think, okay, it's okay for me to suspend disbelief, and I know what they're trying to do is say that this person is this age, but we know that they're not, so I'm not going to feel bad about my thoughts here. But
this goes into my wrestling spiel, because all the time I get criticized for loving wrestling. It's like, wrestling's fake.
Oh, you do know that, right?
It's real.
You know that, right?
Really? But my comeback is always, those robots that are changing into cars, it's not real.
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's not a real action guy. He's not a spy. He's not a robot in human skin.
Right.
You do know that, right?
Well, and that's the thing, is these are supposed to be fun things or whatever, but I mean, like, it gets to what I don't like is when I get creeped out thinking that it's one thing and finding out it's the other. And I'll give you an example.
Okay.
You're driving.
Tell me how creepy you are.
This actually, this is almost a confession of how creepy I am. All right. But I get creeped out by it. So I think that cancels out the creepiness, maybe. Right. Okay. But you ever be like, let's say you're out shopping or whatever, or you're, driving down the road and you see what clearly is an attractive woman at a mile away and half a mile away. Clearly attractive, easily 25, 30 years old. You get up and see who they actually are. They're like 15.
They got school books in their hands.
Yeah. Shit like that. And I don't know if it's the hormones or the microplastics or what the fuck, is going on. But it seems like kids who are, especially girls, who are 14, 15, 16, 17, they look like they're 23, 24, 25 from a distance.
I worked in a school, high school, 9th and 10th graders. And I was asked by a woman to unlock the basketball equipment. So I was like, yeah, no problem. Unlocked it. They were setting up for girls basketball. They had a game. So they were trying to set up. And I was like, yeah, absolutely, no problem. And got it out, moved some stuff for her, chatted just briefly about where things should go. And I was like, cool. And I was walking away. And another woman came up to me and was like, oh, good, you got this all set. And I was kind of taken aback because second person was actually the girls' basketball coach. I thought the student was the basketball coach.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Opened up the door. Yeah. And I'm just like, what? Because the student looked older than the coach.
Right. And I don't know if that, like I said, I mean, I know that they put a lot of hormones in our meat and our food, and I know that they put a ton of chemicals, and maybe that's affecting specifically, you know, young girls who, I mean, but you got girls going through puberty at like 10 years old nowadays. So there's something different going on. You know what I mean? There's something different going on. And really, I think what bothers me the most about it is I don't have a problem looking at a 25 or 30 or 35 or 40 or 45 or keep going year-old woman and going, wow, you're really pretty. I keep it to myself because nowadays, if you try to give a compliment, I mean, no matter how innocent, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Wow, that's a gorgeous, you know, outfit you have on. It looks great.
Thank you very much, Mr. Epstein.
Yeah. That's the thing is like this is actually something we should absolutely talk about is the fact that there is because of that environment, and I blame the left on this, because of that environment, you can't even give a sincere compliment to the other sex with no sexual intention, with no creep in it at all. Like, just like, wow, you look great today.
What? How dare you?
I think people would do better if they were able to not only hear but accept compliments as just that. Wow, your hair looks great today. Wow, that's a really pretty outfit. Wow, did you lose weight because are you working out now? All right, whatever the case may be, without being creepy, with just being like, because when you put effort into things, all right, so like I've lost like 30 pounds, right?
And I noticed your butt didn't look so big.
No, my butt is so tiny now. You couldn't fit a pencil in it.
I don't mean to objectify your butthole.
No.
But it looks skinnier.
Well, thank you.
Looked a little tighter.
Thank you. I can take a compliment. I know you don't want to do anything with my butthole, and I'm going to thank you for noticing.
That if you got kidnapped by aliens, they would have a harder time to give you a butt.
I'm going to tell you what, it is so firm and taut at this point, I could probably snap their little alien fingers off. But that's the thing is like we're in this cycle of you can't look, you can't compliment, you can't, and the disconnect between what we actually need, which is human interaction and some genuine compliments and some genuine love and some genuine, I don't know, understanding that like, oh, you're having a bad day, you know, like, hey, yeah, you ever had a really, really bad day and somebody who's close to you goes, you look like you need a hug, and just hugs you. And even though it doesn't change the circumstances of your day, it just makes you feel a little bit better for that brief moment because you know that person, no matter how close they are to you, no matter how much you know they love you or they don't, or they're just friends or, you know, whatever the case is, you used to be able to do that. I remember in high school, if you were having a bad day and somebody came up to you like, well, you seem off, you know what I mean? And it wasn't like, it could be a girl, you know, I mean, when we were growing up, you couldn't hug another guy because then you were gay and you like to suck penis, right? So, yep. But
the only time that's awkward, as I found out, is if you're in the men's shower.
It turns out that is definitely frowned upon. Hugging in the men's shower like after physical ed is really frowned on. But this idea that, you know, like I can't tell you.
I found that out trying to do a group hug.
Oh, well, you know, learn, live and learn.
I was trying to share my soap.
It just bothers me that as adults, we can't walk up. And I'll give you an example. All right. And where I took a chance and it paid off. Right.
Take a chance.
I worked at a dealership for a while selling motorcycles. And this lady came in and her husband had passed away. And I was in charge.
Did you show her the menstrual cycle?
Yes, I did.
All right.
The PMS 1100? Yeah. Fuck. What am I, stupid?
And we're canceled.
Yep, right there. Anyways, this happened more than once, but this particular instant, I mean, this happened several times. I was in charge of all the wholesaling. I was in charge of, buying. Somebody wanted to sell a motorcycle. I was in charge of inspecting it and putting a price on it. So
the question, does that, what did you say was the PMS 1100?
Yes.
Does that break down every 28 days?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
But turns out it just leaks a little oil. So this woman comes in and she reached out to me and told me the story. Her husband passed and she needed to sell the motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
And in the course of, and like I said, this happened several times with, women who had their husbands pass and they had to get rid of the motorcycle. But this was the first time, and it was really, there was an impact that it had on me. And so we're doing the deal, I'm writing the check, filling out the paperwork, get everything done. We get to the title and all she has to do is sign. That's it. Just sign her name. And she starts crying. And I don't know this lady. I don't know anything about her. I don't know if what I'm about to do is going to be accepted as a gesture of kindness and concern and care, or if she's going to be like, what the fuck are you doing? Right? But I leaned over and I hugged her. And she was crying. I mean, sobbing. Because this was like the last piece of his possessions that she was letting go of. And there was a finality to that. Mm-hmm. And I hugged her and she cried on my shoulder, I don't know, for 5-10 minutes or whatever. It was an incredibly awkward amount of time. Right? But she was sobbing, just distraught. Get done. She gets herself together. And she thanks me. In today's environment, I wouldn't feel comfortable reaching out and hug her.
I could totally see that.
I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't be able to comfort somebody who was in pain. And I think that that's what's gone wrong in this tribalistic society. We are no longer able to comfort.
As long as you don't comfort others, as like when we were cleaning out the house.
When I comfort.
Emotional.
Yeah.
You comfort me, grab my crotch.
Well, that's different. You're my brother. All right. With that, let's leave it with hookers and blow.
City lights are glowing, shadows start to fall. In the alleys and the corners, you can hear the nightlife call. She's got a smile that's painted, lipstick red as wine. Her eyes are always searching for the next in line. Hookers and blow, under neon skies. Hookers and blow, snorting from her thigh. Hookers and blow. In a suit, looking for a thrill. Money in his pocket, he's got time to kill. She whispers in his ear, promises the night. Together they'll get lost in talking shows and concerts and blow under neon skies. Hookers and blow, snorting from her thigh. Hookers and blow. A stranger in a suit, looking for a thrill. Money in his pocket, he's got time to kill. She whispers in his ear, promises the night. Together they'll get lost in talkie shows and cockfights. The island glamour, there's a dark side. Secrets and regrets, who am I kidding? Shut up and ride. She's like a powder donut princess with semen it stains while it's empty. I'm like her and she crunched from the strain. Talking said she's blown out, leaking love. Oh, what a sight. Hookers and blow under neon skies. Hookers and blow, snorting from. Wait, is that the cops? Oh, hookers and blow, when we're shitting, let's leave. Hookers and blow, out the window, leave the donkey. Leave the donkey. Leave the donkey. City lights are fading, dawn begins to break. The echoes of the night are memories we make. Hookers and blow, hope she forgets my name. Hookers and blow, tonight I'll do it again. With the donkey, I'll do it again. With the donkey. With the donkey, with the donkey, again, again. City lights are fading, dawn begins to break. The echoes of the night are memories we make. Hookers and blow, hope she forgets my name.